And just as how I began 19 years ago, I will say, I'm not for sale and I'm not for rent. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the report that the Honorable Premier read, I kept hearing the word unlikely. Unlikely. These experts are saying it's unlikely it would affect this area. It's unlikely it would. The Marriott, and the second one is at Boggy Sand Road right behind where I was born and grew up, where something was trouble and the beach just started to move and it's gone. The cruise lines play us against each other, and where we should be getting $25 a head, they give one set $15 a head. The next year they go to somebody else and say, I'll give you $10 a head, and they just keep constantly cutting each other down till we are getting nothing. Maybe it's time for the government to set in and say, guess what? We will run the show. We will run the show. And this is what you'll pay. These are the kind of things I feel we should be doing. And then I hear talk about the great coral replanting. I look around this room and I wonder how many in this room has ever gone and dive out in that Hogstye Bay or dive out in that harbor. I have. Danny Soto, Randy Soto, Joey Jackson, myself, used to be out there every day, every weekend. When you hear them talking about picking up these pan shores, Mr. Speaker, you have some pan shore heads out there that's bigger or just as big as this room. So that won't be growing back right now. The EIA, and this is where I have my major problem, is from 2015. This is 2019 and the plans have changed 2 or 3 times since 2015. So the EIA should be done over before this is done. We cannot take a chance. 2 things we know we have: Stingray City, the diving, and the 7 Mile Beach. If that 7 Mile Beach goes, then guess what? We will be the cause of it. Last weekend, when I received a copy of the legal opinion that was obtained by the CPR group, and let me let this straight. I've never had a meeting with the CPR group, never attended any of their meetings. I sat back and I go by what my people in my area expect of me. They all said that the attack on members of the CPR group left a bad taste in their mouth. The lack of information from the government, and not to mention the amount of misinformation the government appeared to be putting out there. The scale of the government effort and resources being directed to the public to fight this, and that is not fair to the group that does not want it. Mr. Speaker, I can tell you firsthand that I saw the process that my son went through when he made the decision to leave Cayman to better his career in aviation. And that is why I can relate to these young people who are talking about going to make it better in the UK. I now understand when people say that if they knew grandchildren were so much fun, they would have had them first. It's true. It changes your perspective. It changes your outlook. And that inspires us to keep fighting for our islands, not just for today, but for tomorrow, where our grandchildren and other grandchildren will have a better Cayman when they grow up. We are humbly reminded of this in John 14:3, when Jesus said, I go to prepare a place for you. And that is what we should be doing in this house. Preparing not anything for ourselves. Should not be preparing for the billion-dollar cruise industry. Should not be preparing for those select businesses, but to prepare for our future generations of Caymanians so that they too will be able to call Cayman a paradise in their home. To see a group of people come together and exercise their democratic rights in trying to shape the future of our islands. Those democratic principles are what made the Cayman Islands what it is today. It reminds me of Miss Georgette and those people when they went for the women's right to vote. None of us in this house have the right to use a platform that we were given to abuse our people and question their motives. We are expected to behave in a manner that is reflective of the office that we were elected to serve. I have yet to figure out why so much political capital is being used on this project, but nothing for our people who are living paycheck to paycheck and some people are not living with any check at all. I'm asking the Premier to please, allow a conscience vote. A scenario where ballot boxes are transported in the night to be counted is not reflective of a free and democratic country. We should never ever put our elections in any scenario where anyone has doubts, and the fact that ballots from Cayman Brac and Little Cayman will have to travel by plane to Grand Cayman before the votes can be counted is not a scenario that we should have entertained. We've always counted at the polling stations, and I don't know why that should change now. That despite the promises of how many jobs this port will create, I have not heard any member of the government side speak about what will happen to the many Caymanians' jobs that will be lost. What will happen to those Caymanians? Are we not concerned about them? Mr. Speaker, has the government stopped to ask the question or consider that the proposed crude berthing facility will destroy Caymanian-owned business for the benefit of multi-billion-dollar corporations like the cruise lines? We know about the jobs that are promised to us after giving concessions. The perfect example, look at the Ritz. Go down there and see how many Caymanians you can find. When I sit down, I'll be moving across to sit over by the minister from Savannah, and I want to say to the Premier, thank you very much for the position you put me in. I guess if I go across there, I would probably lose the post on the PSC, but if that is so, that is so. But thanks very much. And to the people, I will say this. I cannot, like other people, backtrack. My people in West Bay North that I've contacted, and I've contacted since this came out, over 150. Only 2 have said yes. The rest have clearly said no. And even some people who drive buses have said no. I cannot, at this time with a clear conscience, take a chance that I could be a part of the destruction of the environment. The father and grandfather in me does not allow me the luxury of compromising my principles, so I will end just as how I began 19 years ago. I will say, I'm not for sale and I'm not for rent. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.